Good morning and welcome to this 7th video following my endeavours to build a Hazel longbow. And today is the day when I find out whether I've got a longbow or just some more firewood. Now if I'm successful tillering this bow, I shall fit some horn nocks on the bow tips, but for now I'm making some temporary nocks using this offcut of yew. Well, it's just started to rain, so it's a great time for a quick rewind. And then I'll start the process of tillering. So what is this thing called tillering? And why, for me and many other novice bowyers, is it such an anxious time? The purpose and process of tillering is to ensure that when the bow is fully drawn, all the stresses upon the wood are evenly distributed along its entire length. Now this is quite easy when the material is all the same thickness. Look at this steel ruler. It bends perfectly. Now the shape of this bent steel ruler is almost exactly the shape of a well-tillered and fully drawn longbow. When a longbow is fully drawn, the shape it describes is part of a circle or an ellipse. And it's making a bow bend into the shape of a part circle that is the skill, the art and the challenge of tillering a bow. Okay, so these are the first gentle pulls of this Hazel longbow. Just a few pounds pressure just to see what the bow will do. I can already see that one of the limbs is a little bit twisted and inclined to tip the bow over one direction. So I've got to work on that first. It's this limb that wants to twist towards the camera. So what I've got to do is move the centre line of that tip towards me. I'm also marking this part of the bow because I want to remove some wood from the handle where it's a little bit thick and it's not really moving at all. I can tell already that this stave is going to be the most challenging I've ever worked on. A piece of medium coarse sandpaper attached to a piece of wood is a great tool to remove little bits of wood from the belly of a bow. This, for me, is a slow, somewhat agonising and deliberate process as piece by piece this bow begins to move in the direction I want it to. Little by little, the shape of this bow is beginning to appear. Okay, I'm ready to do some more work on this bow, but before I do that, let's talk about the tip on the end of this bow that's causing both my eye and my head some difficulties. Now, the first thing to say is I could have avoided this problem altogether by simply making the bow shorter. But I decided not to do that because this curve here adds a lot of character to this bow. But there's no denying that this curve is causing me difficulties. First, when I'm tillering the bow, this curved tip confuses my eye. And also, people who kindly follow me on Instagram, Facebook and on YouTube have made suggestions, really good suggestions. Some say steam bend the tip out of it altogether. Some others say curve the other tip to match. Some say leave it. I'd like to leave the bark on the back of this bow. I think it adds character. But I'm sure that any steam bending I do, either at that end or this end, will remove the bark from the tips of this bow. But for now, whether it be for better or worse, I'm going to leave that tip alone and carry on tillering. Each time I remove wood from the belly of this bow, I have to exercise it 10 to 20 times to allow the removal of the wood to have an effect on the shape of the bow. Each time I pull on the cord, I'm watching the shape of the bow, trying to identify areas that are stiff and areas that are weak. The weak areas I mark with the word leave on the belly, and the other areas I put a hatch line on there, and that's the piece that I'll remove using the sandpaper. For me, one of the many challenges of tillering a bow is knowing that exact right time to take the bow off the tillering tree and fit it with a proper bowstring. When a longbow is fully tillered, its string sits above the belly about this high. But when a new, partly tillered bow is first fitted with a string, it's positioned much closer to the belly. And right now, this bow is going to be fitted with a string for the first time at a low brace height. So now this Hazel bow has got its first string and it's fitted at a low brace height. Now it's back on the tiller. So it's now that the real challenge of tillering this bow begins. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.